Hi, Fax. This week back again with another live fragrance review, and today I'm going to review Italian fragrance from a very Italian fashion brand, not very familiar to you perhaps, but very familiar to me. This fragrance is Renato Balestra pour Homme. It was released in 1982 by the fashion Italian house Renato Balestra. It's a woody Chypré fragrance. First, let's break down the notes. It's a very complex fragrance. It's a typical 80s fragrance with loads of notes. Top notes are mandarin orange, sage, also artemisia, bergamot, basil, clove, thyme, and juniper berries. Heart notes are lavender, geranium, cedar wood, carnation, lily of the valley, also pine, and also there is lavender, rose, patchouli. Base notes are musk, leather, amber, guaiac wood, and also ebony tree. Main accords are amber, herbal, woody, cedar, warm and spicy, earthy, and mossy. Thanks heaven, this is a very, very loaded fragrance. It's a real masterpiece. It's a real gem in the bottle, and hopefully is still in production by the fashion Italian house Renato Balestra. Who was Renato Balestra? Renato Balestra is a high fashion designer, Italian high fashion designer, whom established his own fashion house in the 50s in Milano, in Via Sestina. And he's a very familiar brand, a very familiar fashion brand to Italians, less familiar to Europeans or American, but he was very famous in the 70s, in the 60s, and even now. He's very famous for his gown, his dresses, and he's a very sophisticated gentleman, and his fragrances are fabulous. But among all, this is my favorite. This is Renato Balestra pour Homme, or Renato Balestra signature. Why? Because this fragrance was released in 1982. It's a very complex fragrance, and it's loaded with notes, as I said before. It's fresh, is woody, is citrusy, is floral, is also herbal and mossy. It's a great fragrance. You don't find those kind of fragrance anywhere. It's a fragrance, and it's very Italian. It's very bright. It's very warm. It's very spicy. It's extremely well blended. I don't know who was the perfumer behind, because I couldn't find it neither on base notes or fragrantica, but whomever done this, he done a great job over this fragrance. The version is still okay, is less potent than the original version, which was released in 1982, but still do the job. The Italian, the way they reformulate is great, is a lot better than French, because French, when they reformulate a fragrance, they alter the fragrance, but the Italian, they don't alter the fragrance. They keep the original backbone and the original DNA. Maybe they water down a bit, or maybe they switch some notes, but still they kept the backbone of the original fragrance. So I usually prefer Italian reformulations to French reformulations, because French reformulations are really sometimes very tricky, and they call that a reinterpretations of a fragrance. You want an example? I'll give you an example. Patou pour Homme, the latest version of 2013, has nothing to do with the original Patou pour Homme, which was released in 1980. I reviewed both, and trust me, I know what I'm talking about because I have both. It's another fragrance. I'm not saying that the 2013 version was bad, but it's not Patou pour Homme. So why they call it Patou pour Homme, and they release it in the Jean Patou Heritage Collection. That's tricky. I'm sorry to say that's tricky because they wanted to attract people. They wanted to sell a bottle for over $200. I bought it for $40 because I expected to have the original Patou Pour. At the end of the line, I got something that is not Patou Pour, but it's called Patou Pour. So that's tricky, and I don't appreciate. Italians, they never do that. Italians, they reformulate, but they keep the original DNA and they keep the original the backbone of the fragrance, and the fragrance is 85 to 95% similar to the original. So hail to Italians formulation. Grazie. So this is a fragrance that I really love. This is a fragrance that I really cherish in my collection. I always have it, but I'm sure you never heard of it, and I think I am the only full reviewer to ever review this fragrance on YouTube, because Renato Balestra is not very familiar to foreigners out of Italy. It's very familiar to Italians. Italians, they know Renato Balestra. I think my friend Luigi, who is he's also a very good reviewer, and he also a great subscriber of my channel. He knows what I'm talking. Renato Balestra, he's a great fashion Italian house. And Renato Balestra, I think he's still alive. He's not, this gentleman, he's around 80, if I'm not wrong, and he's still at work. His brand is alive, and he released more than 15 fragrances, but my favorite remain Renato Balestra Pour Homme. The one you are watching now, whether it's a current version or whether it's an older version, I don't care. I love this brand. I love this fragrance. It's Italy in the bottle. This is an Italian fragrance by eccellenza. This is a fragrance that you only can find among Italians, and only the Italian brands, they know how to make those kind of fragrances. I'm not talking about the Italian brands of today, because the Italian brands of today, like Armani or Versace, they are turning to be very American style. No, I'm talking about traditional Italian fragrances of traditional Italian brands, like Renato Balestra, like Sergio Soldano. Those brands, they knew how to make great fragrances for male and also for women's, but this is fabulous. This is a kind of fragrance you have to try it by yourself. I don't know how it's easy for you or it's hard for you to find it, but it's up to you. You have to try to find it, because this fragrance is still in production, or even if you travel to Italy, you can search and you can find it there. This is a fragrance from the 80s. This is a very, very great fragrance with the spicy notes, with woodsy notes, with lemony notes, with the herbal and also mossy note. This is a fragrance with floral notes. It's great. It's such a great, well-blended Italian fragrance that once you wear it, you realize how great it was blended all together, and the perfumer was a real master perfumer. I really love to know who was the perfumer behind this. I know that Renato Balestra supervised this fragrance, but I am not sure he composed this fragrance. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe Renato Balestra did it, because Renato Balestra, he's a very talented man. He was an architect. He's an extremely talented person. So he might be able even to compose a perfume. Who knows? So this is my take on this fabulous Italian fragrance from 80s. Renato Balestra Pour Homme, still in production. And let's a little bit talk about the price. The price is between, let's say, $30 up to $40. The siege is great. The scent profile is great. And also the scent trail around you is fabulous. On the lasting power is on my skin easily 6 hours, which is very good and very average, but very good, because if I want to last more, I can reapply. And Renato Balestra Pour Homme, is a fragrance that I really urge you to discover. I wanted to highlight this fragrance. I wanted to introduce this fragrance to you because on this channel, as you might know by now, this is a channel of hidden gems too. So I always try to bring some hidden gems out of my box for you because I think you are fed up to watch only fragrance reviews about Eros, about Givenchy, about Sauvage, about Invictus, about 1 million. Boring, boring. It's a world of flankers. Come on. We are through with your flankers world. And even the latest release by Givenchy, it's again another fragrance of gentleman lines, a gentleman society. Come on. Who's next? Change the record, okay? We want another tape. We want another record on the record players. We are enough. This is boring. This is the world of flankers. It's enough. Enough is enough. So it's up to you. You have the opportunity to try a new fragrance from the house of Renato Balestra, Italy. Renato Balestra Homme, a true Italian, refined, classy, also very, very, very Italian fragrance from the 80s. So please stay tuned. Have a great day. Talk to you very soon. Stay safe and sound. And until we talk again, cheerio.